Hey everybody, this is Lee at Altitude Industries in Denver, Colorado. I wanted to make a real quick video today on the new iKamper Skycamp Mini. This is the little brother to the hardshell rooftop tent that we've all come to know and love, which is the Skycamp 4X, or the 4-person version of this tent here, which is a 2-person hardshell rooftop tent. The Mini is going to be globally launched on March 2nd, 2020. And as you can see behind me here, we've got quite a few of the new Mini already in stock, ready to go. And we're taking orders on this new exciting tent now. I'm going to go over some of the differences between this tent and the larger 4X, and some of the reasons why I think this tent will suit some buyers better. Ever since the Mini was unveiled at Overland Expo last year, I've been getting a lot of questions about this tent and how it compares to the regular Skycamp and what some of the trade-offs are. Let's start off with what are the differences, and that probably there are more similarities than there are differences between this tent and the regular Skycamp. For the most part, the construction of the two tents is identical. The dimensions are obviously different, but the overall thickness back here at the bubble and the thickness here at the nose of the tent are basically the same as the regular Skycamp. It's just been, squished essentially. So some people are expecting this to be thinner. It's really not. They're both about 12.7 inches thick, including the mounting rails. Obviously this shortening of the tent results in the tent weighing a little less than the 4X. The 4X weighs about 155 to 160 pounds, whereas the Mini is coming in right around 125 pounds. So that's going to make this tent more manageable for two people to lift on and off of a roof or a truck bed, or to set up a lift system in your garage. The reduced weight is also going to make it to where it can be mounted to just about any roof rack on the market, including a lot of OEM crossbar systems that would typically be too weak for the 4X that weighs more. You're not going to need that 165-pound dynamic load rating that the 4X requires, since the tent only weighs 125 pounds. So that really makes it suitable to compact cars or sports cars, even luxury cars, anywhere where you might have a smaller roof or you might not want the tent hanging out over your windshield. So I would expect putting this tent on a smaller vehicle is going to result in better gas mileage for you, especially with this not projecting out over the windshield. Here I have it mounted on a 6-foot bed Tacoma. Now I've got quite a bit of extra room back here. I can actually fit the 4X on this truck bed without it really hanging over. On a 5-foot bed Tacoma, or any mid-sized truck, this Mini is going to fit really well over a 5-foot bed without hanging off the tailgate, which a lot of people don't like visually. Also worried about backing up into things. The other thing you can really do well with the Mini is you can put it up on top of the cab of just about any pickup truck, especially double cabs or crew max. All right, I've cut this stick here. This is 57 inches long. This is probably the biggest difference between the Mini and the 4X, and this stick will help represent the length of the Mini here at 57 inches. Okay, here we've got our Skycamp 4X, or the original Skycamp. I'll hold up the stick that represents the length of the Mini. So you can see you've got about maybe 25 inches or so of extra length here as compared to the shorter Mini. All right, let's have a look inside. The process of opening the Mini is virtually identical to the 4X. You're going to start by using your key in the locking latches, taking the cable latch, disconnecting it from the bottom of the tent, giving your shell a push open. Then you're going to take your ladder, remove the ladder cover, extend your ladder, and flip open the expanding extension. Then you're going to want to remove whatever rungs of the ladder you don't find that you need based on your camping conditions, the height of your vehicle, and what's going on in the ground. Okay. Make sure that it's fully extended, fully locked into place, and everything's supporting you. Climb up. Pull the extension mattress underneath you. And then there'll be 2 bows inside the tent, used to hold open the doorway, rain fly. All right, that's it. What I've got here is a traditional thermarest camp mat. This is kind of the way that some people measure the inside of tents to determine how many people they should sleep. This is basically a 20-inch wide mat by 72 inches long, 6 feet long. And we'll use this for demonstration purposes in both sides, in both tents, to give you a better feel for how large they are inside. Okay, let's have a look inside. So here's the camp mat in there that's 20 inches wide. You can see there's easily room for 2 of those in here, including some additional length here. The inside of the Mini is 50.4 inches wide, which is almost as wide as a full-size bed, which is considered to be 53 inches wide. And it is 81 inches long inside, versus a standard twin or full-size bed at home would be 75 inches long. For comparison, a king-size bed is 80 inches long. So you can see that people that are well over 6 foot tall should fit in this tent just fine. You also have the same ceiling height you do in the 4X, which is almost 4 feet high inside, which makes it easily possible for 2 people to sit up in here, change clothes. You can sit opposite each other. You can sit next to each other. You can comfortably fit in this tent. In fact, if you're both under 6 foot tall, you might even end up with some room here at the bottom for some bags, or maybe your dog. I think you could even squeeze possibly 3 people in here if you wanted to be cozy, like a child and 2 adults. Okay, I've placed 1 sleeping bag and 1 pillow in here just to give you a better idea of what it would feel like. It's kind of the ultimate one man's adventure tent. I'll climb on in here, give you a better idea what it looks like with me laying in here myself. See my truck cab here and the rest of my truck bed out here. You still have the skylight, the printed map. You've got the inner clear layer, the bug net layer, pockets below. You also have the rolled up rain fly there that can be held open with some bows as an extension, an awning of sorts, but very comfy. Now, if I were to move over here to my side of the bed, very easy to fit someone next to me here. And if I move my head all the way up here against the shell, I still got quite a bit of room down here below my feet. Okay, now let's open the Skycamp 4X, and you'll be able to see inside and get a better feel for the relative size. Okay, let's take that same camp mat and put that inside this tent. Okay, now you're looking at the inside of the 4X. You can see the main difference between the Mini and the 4X is the width. So if I move this over to the side, similar to kind of where I had it in the Mini, you can see there's quite a bit of room down the middle here. So the reason this is considered a 4-person tent is you can put 4 of these side by side. I sleep with 2 adults down the middle, here and here, children on that side and on this side. And that essentially gives me some room down here for some bags below my kids' feet. This tent is 85.8 inches wide and 82.6 inches long in this direction where I have my sleeping bag laying. So it's actually quite a bit bigger than a king size bed. A king size bed is considered 76 inches wide in this direction and 80 inches this way. So it's actually larger than a king size bed, which essentially just gives you that extra shoulder width needed to really fit 3 or 4 people in here as opposed to 2. Okay, next I just wanted to talk about the accessories that iKamper makes for the Skycamp and which ones of those will work with your Mini and which are intended only for the 4X. The main difference between the two tents, as you can see here, is the width of the door opening. It's quite a bit narrower, of course, on the Mini, which also results, I think, in this zipper becoming a little shorter in length. So the accessories that are intended to attach to that zipper are not going to be transferable between those tents, and that would include the vinyl canopy option, the awning, and the annex room. They will be making those for the Mini soon, and I'm sure they'll be coming out close to, if not before, global launch day for the Mini. Now, you can use your shoe rack hanging from these, as well as the outer storage bag. Both tents now include, as I mentioned before, some pockets, sorry, down below there if you can see them. And also you'd be able to use the iKamper wind deflector, which actually hangs from the track from the bottom of the tent. So that works on both tents. And then also the mounting bracket locks to lock the mounting brackets to your crossbars. Those would work as well. And then lastly, you would have the inner insulation or inner liner kit that will have to be made specifically for the size and shape of the Mini versus the 4X. Of course, that would be different between the two tents. All right, well, you might be wondering now, where will I be able to keep my bedding inside the Mini? It's similar to the Skycamp 4X in that when this extension and this mattress here fold in, and the ladder is inside there, all of that stuff is taking up space underneath the shell. So you can fit some things in here, but you do have a limited amount of space. Now with the Mini, one of the nice things is that you have a shorter tent. So as you can see here, I have mounted a aluminum overland style bin here with a weatherproof seal here, and we sell this line of product here at Altitude Industries. It really helps with the bedding. As you can see, if you set this up all correctly, you can access this directly out the window, and you would have a ton of room inside there for pillows, sleeping bags, and you wouldn't be needing to put that inside the tent. Now, if you do decide to do that, we sell a net kit, which you see collapsed here, which actually just clips on up here. Where you can put your bedding behind this net and get it out of the way so you can slide this mattress pack and still get everything to close. It makes it tighter. But one of the key benefits of the Mini here is your ability to free up some rack space for gear, for bins, for bikes, for solar panels, for whatever you may want to put on your rack besides just a tent. To help demonstrate how important the size of this tent is and why it really frees up so much rack space, I've got it mounted here on a Tacoma regular cab with a pretty large platform on top, and as you can see here, there's quite a bit of rack space left over. To the rear of the Mini, there's about 24 inches or 25 inches of additional space behind it. So this kind of represents all the rack space back here that would be normally covered by a typical two-man hardshell tent. And that's because traditional hardshell rooftop tents come in two different varieties. First, you have the clamshell style tent, which just pops straight open. And then you have more of a wedge-shaped tent that's going to open with a hinged front end and then open kind of like a wedge of cheese. The drawback of both of those style tents compared to the Skycamp Mini is that they don't expand when you open them. So the footprint of the tent when they're closed essentially is the size of the tent when they're open. So in order for there to be two people laying in a tent like that, it needs to be basically over 6.5 feet long in order for a typical person to be able to lay in the tent in this direction. So versus the Mini where you're laying in this direction, and that's really the key difference that allows this tent to fold up so much smaller and therefore to be mounted to such a wider variety of vehicles, or for you to free up a bunch of extra rack space for the rest of your overland gear. All right, that about wraps things up. But before I go, I wanted to address one key question that I get most often, which is, what's the price? The Skycamp Mini is retailing for $35.99 in gloss black or white, and the 4X is $38.99. So there's not a tremendous price savings with the Mini that some people I think were expecting. My opinion as to why that is that basically both tents can share nearly all their components. They both have a ladder, they both have two bows here, they both have two of these brackets, they both have four corners, they both have an extension, hinges, mattress, hoop, and so on, two mounting rails, right? And all the steps to assemble and build that tent in their factory are essentially identical as well. The only difference between the two models, as we've gone over, is really the length, which is going to result in a little bit less floor panel material, less fabric, less rainfly, less shell, but those material costs are relatively small as compared to the other costs involved in bringing a product to market. So you're just not seeing quite as large a gap between this product and the original Skycamp as I think some people were expecting. But that's okay. There's a tent for every buyer, and this tent really works well in certain situations where the 4X might be too large for some people. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you found all that information useful in your decision in trying to decide between the original Skycamp and the new Mini. Give us a call if we can help with your purchase. We carry the full line of iKamper products. We install both tents, rack systems. We also ship. So we're here in Denver, Colorado, and we look forward to seeing you. We've got both tents set up here in the showroom for you to come in and check out in person as well. Thanks a lot.